We've got our lasers, we've got our autocannons, we've got our PPCs, our big guns. A lot of ways in Battletech to deal that alpha, to deal that damage. But in this vlog, in this podcast, we're going to focus and we're going to build the checklist physical attacks. Because with the influx of new players, I mean, this is the golden age of Battletech with all of the releases that are out there, that are incoming, the resurgence in the community. If you're a new player, understanding physical attacks, understanding that phase of the game is important for two reasons. First, so you're not taken by surprise. Because as you get closer and closer, the threat range for physical attacks and the importance of initiative becomes vital. And on the other side, understanding it as an important phase of the game, certain tactical opportunities that present themselves. And with the correct checklist of mechs, and that's what we're going to focus on, I'm going to open it up in the comments for you guys, there's a lot of tactica possibility. So the advantage of the physical attack phase, as we move in, we need to be calculating in our mind based on the mechs and based on initiative. Physically, how far can they move? And the initiative, are you in range? Are you a threat? If we're on the other side of the hex map, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to hit you with my PPCs. As soon as I get in range, now there's modifiers, long range, short range, and medium range. We have to make sure with your mech to be able to calculate how fast and how far can other mechs move, and can they make it base to base? The way you initiate the physical attack phase is literally getting base to base. And now what this means is, in the basic rules that we're going to explore, you can punch and kick. I mean, literally physical attacks against your mechs. So we don't want to be taken by surprise where if I'm rocking with my Battle Master and you've got two mechs coming up and I think I'm safe, I stay in place, you move up. You have the hexes, whether it's walking or running, to move up and make those physical attacks. We don't want to be caught by surprise. Especially, and this is where initiative is important, making sure you don't get stuck, because if I can get behind you to punch you, kicking not so much, but if I can get behind to punch you, that could be devastating based on the effects of how it operates. So we need to be aware, not get caught by surprise, or if we're playing a certain machine, to get up there. Now, the main thing with physical attacks is the damage depends on the tonnage. The formula of the matrix means the heavier the mech, it's just kinetic energy, right? The heavier the mech, that mass and momentum slamming in with that battle fist, with that fist, the more damage that it's going to do. That doesn't mean light mechs can't and should not make physical attacks, because there is a unique opportunity. There are unique opportunities, but simple physics means, okay, you're going to punch me with your spider. Okay, still a danger, and we'll see why in a second when we get to the physical attacks with punching, but that's vastly different if your Battle Master is going to be smashing into me, or your Stalker is going to be kicking me. We start to really worry once we get into mediums, heavies, and definite assault mechs. Likewise, this is why assault mechs, you kind of want to get up there and punch and kick. And we'll look at a great example in a moment. So in the physical attack phase, we don't have range modifiers, but we do have movement modifiers if you walk and run. And in most cases, you're going to be at least walking. I mean, in theory, you could be standing there and someone comes up to make a physical attack against you and they happen to be there, so you decide to punch back. You don't have any movement modifiers. And also the hexes, how many hexes that your opponent has moved. So we're used to that matrix, we're used to that calculation, but what we don't have for physical attacks is range, because you are literally point blank. So in some ways, and in many ways, it's easier to pull off a physical attack. Let's look at punching. Now, when you shoot, you understand in the basic rules, the facing of the mech then goes on this kind of matrix table to see where you hit. You know, left torso, right arm, left leg. If you get really lucky, would you rather have a headshot or a critical center torso? Depends on the weapon you hit, but you understand that there are places that you're going to hit. The punching chart is a special chart for physically throwing punches. you're physically attacking the upper half of the machine, the upper half of the mech. So what this means is you have a 1 in 6 chance, 1 in 6 chance of hitting the head. You throw 2 punches, 1 in 6 chance, twice. That's got some really, really serious bite behind it. This is where we see, now, of course, if you're a heavy mech or an assault mech, you might knock the head clear off. But the other advantage is if you're a light mech, I'll do very little damage, but I will force you to take a consciousness check. Maybe I'll send your mech warrior night-night. And in a campaign, you can only take so many hits. It's dangerous. 1 in 6 chance to hit the head. If we can get behind, there's a duality of 1 in 6 chance of hitting the head if I'm attacking rear armor, but because with the punches I'm not dealing with the legs and it condenses that chart, I could still punch you in the arm, but now there's an increased chance of me hitting rear armor, center torso, left torso, right torso. If it's a spider, okay, but if I'm hitting you with an assault mech, I literally might just punch through to your engine, to your gyro, to your sensors. It's pretty crazy. So we see these physical attacks being very, very potent and very, very vital. Likewise on the kick side. Now, the kick side uses its own table. You kick and you hit either on the left or right leg. This is devastating because in its own way, if you can kick, say, with a stalker, you kick with a stalker, you damage the leg to internals, or you literally tear the leg off of an opponent. Now, they're going to go prone. There's going to be some checks to be made. The challenge with kicking is that you have to make your own pilot check. There's modifiers. Are you really going to fail it? Probably not, but you might, and then you fall on the ground. And if you're surrounded by everybody else, that could be an interesting little exercise to try and get up and deal with things. So there's a little bit more risk in terms of kicking, but again, the tonnage delivered to the legs. If you're a stalker and you can make it up to a medium mech and you kick, all that tonnage is multiplied and directed towards a leg, you might kick it clean off. Very, very potent, very, very powerful. Now, the challenge and the downside is, without using some of the special rules, when you make a physical attack, you cannot make any weapon attack ahead of time because it's on a different phase. So if I'm a Battle Master and I've got that PPC, okay, well, Fritz, you're under the minimum, right? But maybe I want to take that shot. Actually, here's a better example. My Thunderbolt, my T-Bolt, has a large laser. Or if I have medium lasers in the arms, if I punch, I'm Hunchback, great example. If I punch, I'm not able to utilize those weapons. If I kick, I'm not able to utilize those weapons. And here's a quick test. The only mech I can think of offhand that would affect, I know there's a Stinger variant. We're talking just main mechs, the Crusader. So I wouldn't be able to pop off the short-range missiles in the legs. You need to be mindful of that, because if you fire the weapons ahead of time, then you can't make that physical attack, and the rules are the rules. So any weapons in the hands, keep them free. Now, this is where things get interesting in the Tactica checklist, and I'm going to turn it over to you guys, because that's the intro for you new players. Definitely be out there making some physical attacks. Definitely utilize all aspects of the game, all aspects of your machine. But certain mechs are better suited for close-in work compared to other mechs in each tonnage class. So let's look at the higher tonnage mechs, because again, that's really what we want to focus, because we're using the kinetic matrix of making those physical attacks. Mechs that have other weapons, in locations that you can utilize to make those attacks, and weapons that tandem very well. One great example, one pretty good example, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. The Hunchback. Now, Hunchy's a medium. He is. But Hunchy's got that autocannon 20. He wants to get up there. You're going to get point blank, base to base, to use that AC-20 anyway. You're going to blast with that, and then you're going to punch for the 1 in 6 chance to hit the head. If you can get rear armor, Hunchy's just a murderer rear armor. Autocannon 20, blam, rear armor, potentially hit that. That's going to core someone out. Punch. Moving up to a higher tonnage, a sort of okay example, one I play regularly and use effectively, the Banshee, the stock Banshee. The Banshee's a brawler. It has the autocannon and it has the PPC. in the left torso, the right torso. Now, the PPC has the minimums, so there's going to be, you got to override that. I've got all the overrides in my control panel. You're going to have modifiers stacking on top of modifiers, but this is an example of go for it. I mean, you get the little laser in the head too. Go for it because you can shoot that PPC. You can shoot the autocannon. You deal with the modifiers. And then you punch. You have the tonnage and the tonnage. So this is a chance to really move up close. Look at mechs that have a brace of weapons in their left torso and their right torso, or potentially their center torso. So they can shoot all these things and then make those physical attacks. An important part of the game. Don't get caught in the beginning thinking you're safe and that Battlemaster runs up and just starts punching you. And second, look in all instances. Again, that like sneaky spider running up, fire the laser in the torso, then blam, blam, right punch, left punch, 1 in 6 chance, hit the head, force that consciousness check, night, and there we go. So in the comments, and we'll start with the easiest first. Mechs that are obvious and not so obvious for physical attacks, beast-like machines that can make those amazing physical attacks, your suggestion to add to the collection.